South Africa have survived a full day of batting. That's how I'm going to start this because this is what we need to speak about. It's South Africa's batting performance against New Zealand in the second test on day one. So, the first thing we picked up in this particular series is that we need to speak about the batter's approach. We need to speak about the improvements. We need to speak about the newer guys and how they've adjusted, and some selection that has taken place with regards to this match. So we will be discussing everything that's got to do with this particular game, day one. We'll be analyzing it, having a conversation about it, and I'm hoping that you guys will get involved as well. There is a link in the live chat pinned to the live chat where you guys can call in on the show and have your say as fans. The lines will be open immediately after our intro, and you guys can just call in while I'm having a conversation and giving you my review of this particular game. If you're new to this channel and if you haven't quite yet, please subscribe. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. Also, don't forget to smash the like button, comment, and share. And also get involved with Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. So go ahead and become a subscriber for free today. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid, maiden, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with the second test, between South Africa and New Zealand, day one. And we're going to be discussing this. I'll be very involved with the live chat as well today. But let me just give my quick summary of what has taken place. So first and foremost, South Africa ended the day on 238 for 3. And the significant part of this is the fact that Sarel Erwee managed to score his maiden century. And it's something that all of us as fans will be very happy about because we've been asking for him to get selected. Well, a lot of you guys have been asking for him to get selected and get an opportunity. And this is an indication of what happens if you do give people opportunities. Perhaps their levels go up when it comes to domestic, when it comes to international cricket, and they take their games to a next level. Now, Sarel Erwee's 100 was supported by 240s coming from Dean Elgar and Aiden Markram. Now, very similar in if you look at the actual scores, very similar, but approaches very different. I feel that Aiden Markram was a little bit more free flowing today and in control of his shots until after the break. And after tea, it almost seemed like the pitch changed. Now, from the assessments that were spoken about throughout this particular game, there was an assessment that this pitch was slightly slower than the first pitch that they played on. And that little difference in the pitch made it a little bit easier for the batters to bat, particularly in the opening sessions, funnily enough. So South Africa kind of obviously were on top, mainly because of Sarel Erwee and Dean Elgar's excellent partnership. They put on an amazing performance together, and they are the reason why the first platform was set. I mean, just to talk about this, this is their first open. This was the best opening partnership in 16 innings since December 2020, and when you look at the last time a century stand was scored, it was in a test against New Zealand since Graeme Smith and Herschel Gibbs in 2004. So the pair became the first to share a century stand in the first innings of a test in New Zealand since Graeme Smith and Herschel Gibbs in 2004. So I read that all wrong. Sorry, guys. Then their partnership of 111 of 219 balls was the first 100 run opening stand away from home since 2012 in Adelaide Test versus Australia when Graham Smith and Alvaro Peterson put on 138. So quite a few records were broken by this partnership, and we've been speaking about it in depth over the last couple of months about how we need to sort out our opening partnerships, etc., and how that will set the tone for everything. That's why there was calls for Aiden to get dropped because Aiden's been the less informed guy between him and Dean Alga. They moved Aiden down the order, put Sarel Erwee as an opener. I think that's history now. I feel that it would be extremely unfair if they decide tomorrow that they're going to now not pick Sarel Erwee in the future as an opener, because you can't drop someone that has scored a century and only his second match against the world champions. So, yeah, well done to Sarel. And just to give some perspective to everything, Sarel scored 108 runs of 221 balls. He hit 13 fours during his time at the crease, and he spread the ball quite a. He scored 14 fours at his time in the crease, and he spread the ball quite well around the ground. What I noticed about him is that his wagon wheel was quite spread out well. Um, the only region that he didn't score in, which is pretty awesome, when he did get edges, it dropped short or it dropped before the slip Gordon, but none of them actually went for runs. So he never scored off his bat to third man or in the slip Gordons in that region. But the rest of the wagon wheel right around, he scored runs. So that was excellent from that part. I thought he batted well by finding scoring ways to score everywhere around the ground, which is very nice to see. So from that perspective, I think Sarel put on an excellent performance. We do, though, have to talk now about the rest. It looks like South Africa have the ability or have this foundation set now to try and get that 300 plus score that we've been so craving for so long. But yeah, let me bring Werner on the show. Welcome to the show, buddy. What would you like to say? I mean, I'm sure you heard what I had to say, so you can just maybe add to what I have, or any extra points that you'd like to make about the day one.
Thanks, Khalid. I I hope my audio sounds a bit better today. Yeah, it was a great day, really. A big turnaround from that first test. I did expect us to come back a lot stronger after that first test, not going into it with any practice, and it just showed what one test match, no matter how poorly we played, it already made a difference coming into this one, and I'm so stoked for Erwee. He's worked really hard. He's really done the miles. He's done all the work coming into this test, being with the squad for so long. In domestic cricket, having performed for years now, and he totally deserves it. Such a good guy as well. So I'm so happy for him, and it was a pleasure to watch. He scored all around the ground, some sublime cover drives. It ended up being his downfall in the end, playing a ball angling across him. But up to that point, I also felt he left very well. I think that's something our batters really improved from the first test coming into this one. We left a lot better. We were a lot more circumspect outside the off stump when we needed to be. We put away any loose delivery. We looked to be a lot more positive, which put some pressure back on the New Zealand bowlers. So yeah, that opening partnership was so important. Fantastic to finally see a 100-run opening partnership again. Good to see Markram make some runs, though I think he'll probably still be very disappointed the way he got out. Again, going for that big drive, nicking off. He grafted very hard for that 100 balls and to get that 40 odd. But I don't think it's going to necessarily be enough to save him right now with Erwee really cementing a spot up top and KP coming back. So it'll be interesting to see what do the selectors decide going forward. But a big opportunity for Rassie and Temba tomorrow. The platform has been laid. It's day 2. There's some overs under the bowlers' bouts, so they'll feel it in their legs to come tomorrow. So I really hope we get through that first hour firstly, and then really try and put them under pressure. I think from this position, we'd look at a minimum of 350,
Mm.
upwards of 400 if we bat well, and both of them will look to score big tomorrow because this is their opportunity. The platform has been laid so beautifully. It's been a while since Temba especially has come in with such a good platform. He normally comes in at 50 for 3 and he needs to do a rescue job. So this is an opportunity to not make a 50 but actually make a century. Rossi still hasn't made one. Temba's only made one. So tomorrow is definitely their opportunity. And the same goes for Kyle Verreynne and Vian Mulder, who both haven't really done much with the bat yet in their short careers. So a big opportunity for all the rest of our batting lineup to step up as well. But a very very good first day. I enjoyed it very much, a lot more obviously than the first test. So it was good to watch.
Mm. So you said a lot of things in in your summary. You
Sorry.
made a lot of points, different points. I'm going to pick a few out of what you said, and we can zone in a little bit on that.
Sure.
So I want to start off with selection because I think that was probably the most um, the biggest thing that divides us as a fan base, generally speaking. So there were some of the selections that were made on our fans' picks the day before or yesterday that made it. For example, Vian Mulder. So when I saw the 11 that was selected for this particular match, I was pretty pretty interested, and I was like, to an extent, I wouldn't say shocked, but I thought about it and I was, you know what, interesting. You know, that they went with these particular players. Now, first and foremost, just to clear up a couple of things, we saw that Zubair Hamza, who you guys did ask to keep his position in the side, we saw him not make it because of a broken thumb. So that's first and foremost why he didn't make it. I'm assuming that if he was fit, he would have played, and we might not have seen Aiden play in this particular match, perhaps. That's an assumption from from what happened today. Ryan Rickleton still didn't get into the side like a lot of people wanted him to. Instead, they went for Vian Mulder as an all-rounder at number 7. So they have obviously two all-rounders in the side in Marco Janssen as well as Vian Mulder. And they dropped Clinton Steerman for Keshav Maharaj for tactical reasons as released by CSA. So that's not what I'm assuming. That's what was communicated with us, that it is tactical reasons. So I'm assuming that this particular pitch is going to spin a little bit more later on throughout this test match. Now, the only evidence I have of that possibly happening is the fact that this pitch is a little slower than the first test. The ball is coming slower onto the bat, and they show the difference between this first test on day one and the first test, um, and the first is day one and the second test day one, and they show the differences in when those bowlers were bowling and how the carry was, how the bounce was, where the impact was, all of those type of things. So yes, South Africa has also influenced that by being a little bit more positive, by leaving better as well. New Zealand had to obviously change and alter their lines to pull the ball into positions that South Africa can go after. And when they got it right, they got wickets. Both Dean Alga and Aiden Markram falling in similar fashions than they have before. So Sarel Erwee too. So now, like you said, it's up for Temba Bavuma and Rassie van der Dussen to really take advantage of this platform. So when you heard the team news, Werner, let's start with that first and foremost. What were your initial thoughts when you saw the team news?
I was quite surprised, to be honest. I was a bit disappointed not to see Ryan Rickleton there, especially with Hamza being out injured. I thought that would be a straight swap, get him in for Hamza. So, and I still am a bit disappointed, to be fair. I wouldn't have gone with Mulder, but he does lend that extra bowling option that I'm sure Algar would enjoy, and I think it's probably the same reason Maharaj has come in. I think we lacked some control in that first test match, and Maharaj can do that type of holding role if necessary. A slow pitch doesn't necessarily mean it's going to turn. So we'll see how it goes. I don't expect the pitch to break up too much. Even if it is a little bit brown, maybe it will turn a bit on the 4 and 5. But I don't expect a lot of turn. But hopefully Keshav plays a bigger role than he did in the Centurion and Wanderers test matches against India. So I hope Algar uses him wisely, because he is almost the fifth bowling option now, because we have four paces if you include Mulder and then Kesh. So I hope he doesn't just get a couple of overs and then that's that, because that doesn't warrant his inclusion. And I also feel Steerman is a little bit hard done by. Only getting the one test match to show what he can do. Yes, he was expensive and a bit wayward, but that can happen on your debut. So I feel it was a little bit harsh on him to drop him. And then it's interesting, Willie Fear as well. He was expensive, but he was, I still feel, was our best bowler in that first test match. He was the one that got that fuller length, and got the wickets, some top order wickets. He also had a few catches dropped off his bowling. So I feel he's a little bit unlucky to miss out. So I'm still 50-50 about the changes that were made. So far, none of them have come played a role in this match. So we'll see how they go. But yeah, I'm still not 100% sold on the changes. But hopefully, as the toss ended up, or the choosing to bat first, winning the toss, seems like an inspired decision in retrospect, because I was also surprised at that decision initially. And it could have backfired, because the ball still moved around quite a bit in that first session. But it ended up well. So hopefully the same will apply to Maharaj in this test, and Vian Mulder.
I buy completely different bowling unit to the first test, with an inclusion of someone that you're actually quite a big fan of in Lutus Pamela. So do you want to just give some insight into that?
Guys, great to be back. So, yes, actually, I did send out a tweet. I can just read it off now. I had said, those that are calling for Olivier to be switched out may have a point too. He's been bowling much slower than he did before he took the Kolpak route, and now he bowls a few too many loose deliveries despite having a knack of picking up wickets, and that is not the optimal trade-off. Now, I'm not criticizing Olivier too much. I mean, he is a good bowler, but at the same time, uh, he he was quite inconsistent last game. Even though I could agree to some extent with what Werner said about him being one of the best bowlers last game. Yeah, excited to see Luta Sepalma. I know he's only played 2 test matches, but it's exactly that. You'll only know if he's going to be a quality test bowler if he continues to get more game time. As for the batting, it was a pleasant surprise. Honestly, I think Dean Elgar made a brave decision to bite the bullet and bat first, especially after how last game went. But at least we've seen more application, more confidence from the top order. Something that was something that was kind of lacking, I guess, in more recent times. Um, it'll be interesting to see how Rusty van der Dussen and Temba Bavuma go about early today. But I think if I were to come up with a good benchmark, that 400 threshold will be a good psychological milestone to cross.
Yeah. There are certain things about South Africa that always puzzle me when I look at these certain decisions made, and unnecessarily changes sometimes also are not. I mean, sometimes I look at the decisions made, and then I'm like, that's just an unnecessary change. But that unnecessary change almost was forced this time around, with keeping Aiden in the team, maybe for Zubair Hamza, or with Zubair Hamza out. Um, so I think there's a lot of lifelines that Aiden Markram is getting at the moment. Quick question: if he does go on and score maybe a half century or century in the second innings of this particular match, or even right now at this very moment, do you feel that he's brought some favor with the, I'm not going to say the fans because I don't think so, but with the selectors and the coaching staff? Do you think that this has given them enough to maybe keep him in the side?
I don't. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't think a 40 makes up for the prolonged poor run he's had. And with KP coming back, it's probably a toss up between him and Rassi at this stage. They're probably fighting for one spot. I think the it's a possibility to bet Markram at 4, but Rassi has had a better run of it of late. He still hasn't scored a century, and he hasn't made a lot of half centuries in the last few months as well. But he's been slightly better than Markram has. So I think it's going to come down to how the rest of this test match goes. Rassi can go on and score a century tomorrow, and then maybe cement his place, and Markram doesn't. So I think it's still a bit early to call. I think Markram was pretty lucky to make it into this 11. To be fair, I thought Ryan would possibly play ahead of him. So I don't know if he's saved himself with a 40.
Can I just read out a super chat quickly, Abba, before you add? Thank you, Lawrence Bailey, for the super chat. You will never know how good someone will be until you give him opportunity. Sarel is an example that's 100% true. Who says Rickleton ain't? And that's also 100% true. You won't know until you see it. Okay, Abba.
It's good that we're all on the same page, right? I guess yeah, Rickleton was very hard done by, and going back to what Werner said, after you've been in quite forgettable form, I don't think a 42 is going to cut it, but he does have a potential second chance in the second innings, and and I guess at this point in time, even though hardly anybody has scored a century, I guess we're kind of resigned to the fact that fighting 60, 70, maybe 80 is good enough given the context of the situation. With that being said, yeah, it's kind of a tussle between Markram and Rassi van der Dussen. It remains to be seen whether Rassi will make his elusive maiden Test century. But of course, take nothing away from what he's done in Test cricket so far. He has played a few important knocks. But yeah, the getting your first century, it's another psychological milestone that uh, you'd want to reach, and this kind of applies to Bavuma to some extent. I know he's been our best batter in the space of the recent few games, but there's everyone's feeling anxious about when that second Test century is going to come, and here's a good chance because the platform has been set well by the top three, and if everyone applies themselves nicely, this could turn in. We could possibly double the score that we've made in the on day one.
I hope that ages well. And then you didn't just do an American jinx on everything right now. Um, so, what I want to talk about next is that how many chances are enough chances, like I said before, we say, and with certain players, because with Pavuma, a lot of us on this channel have defended him in the past because we did take context into consideration when it comes to Pavuma's knocks. He hasn't converted a lot of his scores, obviously, to centuries. Only one of them he's converted to a century, and yet we've taken that into consideration when judging his position and value to the side. Now, Markram set the bar for himself with that first 6 months. He gave us this hope that he will be scoring big centuries for South Africa, and he'll be that guy for South Africa for years to come. And he's now currently struggling with form for a while now, getting results here and there. So are we going to be taking any context to certain knocks? Because I feel with Markram, that doesn't make sense to maybe take context into consideration with him, because then you need to count all of his fancy 30s as well then, because he looks so good during those 30s. So I think that's where you have to use your own discretion to decide what your analysis of a player is, isn't it, Werner?
Yeah, I think at the end it's going to come down to the numbers, because even if you look at Temba's numbers, you can look at it in comparison with the rest of the lineup, right? So he might only score a 55, but it ends up being the highest score of the innings. So you can't look at that 55 in isolation. You look at it in terms of what were the rest of the batters' scores. Whereas Markram has generally underperformed in comparison with the rest of the lineup. So even if he had scored a 30, then most of the batters have gone past 30. So it does make a difference. And pretty 30s and 40s don't mean a lot. I'd rather have a guy. Let's take Alga for example. Looks ungainly. He plays with a closed bat face. He edges multiple boundaries through the slips. He gets hit a lot, but he scores an 80 or he scores an 100. I'd rather take that than the most beautiful 40 in the world.
Correct. And in Test cricket, you are going to look at that. That's very important to have that aspect. Oh wow! Welcome to the show. I know for a
Yes,
long
it's
time we
finally
haven't
here.
seen you.
Don't worry,
Oh,
we're
and he's
still not
gone.
seeing him.
And then he's gone. Okay, oops. Okay, guys. Let's continue. Is there any other points you want to raise? There's not too much to talk about. We've basically covered the entire day's play. Because it's so nice to talk about us betting the entire day. So for change. So what do you expect from Rassi and Temba? I'm looking at Rassi. He still worries me in Test cricket. He doesn't look so settled at the crease as he does in white ball cricket. But if he gets the results, he gets the results. At the end of the day, um, not everybody's gonna look like Dewald Brevis or look like Aby de Villiers or look like Jacques Callis when they're eating a cover drive. Abai, anything else you want to add?
Yeah. So yeah, first of all, I was hoping for a little bit of a debate, but it's nice to see the consensus across all three of us, right? Yeah. Another point I wanted to make was yeah, when we look at players' stats in Test cricket, I guess we kind of need to find a middle ground between a case by case sort of analysis and a more holistic analysis, because um, we have players like Markham who have been struggling for a while, but at the same time they have in his case he has amassed plenty of credit in the bank early on. But if we just zone in on the recent like 6 to 8 test matches, um, I think we can agree that he's all but exhausted his borrowed time, um, and and the second innings could be a make or break sort of situation. Um, if we were to go back to Ryan Rickleton's case, it's pretty unfortunate, but at the same time, um, I feel more positive about the fact that he could maybe get a game when the Proteas return home to host Bangladesh for a couple of test matches. But I tend to digress a little bit.
Unfortunately,
If we were to go,
unfortunately, that unfortunately
what?
that will probably be because of the IPL, won't it? Because there
No,
will
no,
be
no, no, no.
play
I don't
won't
think I
players
don't
be.
think the mainstay Proteas are gonna play the early part of the IPL, because I did read something from Cricinfo that KG Rabada is gonna miss the first handful of games in the IPL.
Okay,
Yeah, so I'm at
that's
least
good.
taking their word for it for now, but I hope that doesn't change.
Because remember that last time when we wanted to get our players out of the IPL to play for South Africa, Otis Gibson wanted to write a letter and they couldn't get them out.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I hope that relationship has obviously changed and is a lot better now.
yeah. And then last thing for me, but yeah, when it comes to this test match, if we were to go back to what we should be talking about, um, yeah, you just have to continue from where you left off. You can't give the opponent um, even the slightest opening. You can't leave the door a crack open. You've got to look confident. You've got to back your strengths. And that's exactly what these two guys should do. I hope we can get some handy runs from Kyle Verena. I know he hasn't crossed 30. He's played 5 test matches. I know but then again, he's super talented. We're aware that what he's capable of doing, and I hope we can finally see a good half century. Maybe even better than that. But there's lots to appreciate in this positive start yesterday, and let's just hope that that momentum continues.
Your thoughts on day two, Werner? What would you like to see?
I'd like to see us get through that first hour unscathed, preferably, and then looking to put the foot down after that. I'd also like to see a more positive approach again from Rassi. As I've said in the past, he looks a lot better the moment he is more positive and gets his feet moving, and he just scores a lot better once he looks to be positive. So he needs to get out of his shell, take a cue from how Temba approached his innings when he started out today. And we need those two to build a partnership tomorrow, and also then Kyle and Mulder coming in, to some extent, maybe even Janssen. So I think we're almost at 250 now, 238, right? So yeah, I think we need to be aiming at a minimum of 400 here, especially if the pitch does play as well for the batters as it seems. Even though there is still some movement through the air, the pitch is definitely a bit slower, and I feel it might be some hard work for our bowlers coming in. So we'll need all the runs we can get going into it. And if we do bowl tomorrow, we're going to have to bowl a lot better again than the first test. But I feel as we have improved our batting, I do expect our bowlers to hit that fuller length as well. And I do feel it is a length that Sipamla generally hits. So I think that might be to his advantage. I'm still a bit skeptical about how he will go, because he did play well against the India A side. He got the most wickets, but he was very expensive. He was going at over 4.5 runs and over, so he'll need to be tidy. I don't want him to go the same route Steerman did in the previous test. So it'll be interesting to see how we go, and I just hope we get our areas and take our catches when we come out to field.
Yeah, in Luther's defense, he started off very poorly and then he came back very strong. So hopefully that is going to be, he'll be able to eliminate that part of it, that slow start. I'm hoping that he can put it on the spot, being consistent. I think him and Vian Mulder are both types of bowlers that do that. That's part of the game. Vian has become that for the Proteas now. So hopefully they can produce that when they do get a chance to bowl. But guys, I think that's where we're going to end it. I hope you guys had an opportunity to say what you wanted to say. We've got Hano in the back. Oh, he's gone again. I was about to bring him on. Okay, never mind. We're going to have to end it there, guys.
Aye, Hanu.
Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Good luck to the Proteas for day 2. And keep up to date with Cricket Fanatics. That's where you'll get all the updates on Cricket Fanatics when it comes to our reports, our match updates, the CSA T20 challenge that has happened. Obviously we know who's going to be in the final now. It's going to be the Titans and the Rock, sorry. So it's going to be a repeat of the Mzansi Super League final that we had, basically. The Spartans basically from that region and Titans similar franchises. So hopefully it's gonna be an entertaining match. It's going to be the current Proteas fanboy, Janaman Malan. Everybody loves him at the moment. He's the current flavor. And then the future flavor of the month, Deval Breva is going to go against each other. So let's see what happens over there. It's a pity that Janaman doesn't bowl some Rispin as well. So guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell for all future videos. as well as subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. Thank you for the super chat today, Mr. Bailey. And thanks to everybody for watching. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Cricket Fanatics Magazine. Take care and enjoy your weekend. Peace.